What's up, everybody? Welcome to Chatting with Chapman. I'm your host, Andre Chapman Jr., also known as Dre Made It Happen. And I have the pleasure of chatting with number four all time in the 400 meters at the University of Washington, 2017 South American champion, 2017 Bulgarian champion, a 2022 World Championship finalist, 2022 Bulgarian champion, a 2023 World Championship qualifier, the 2023 Pan American Games champion, a finalist, y'all, at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, a 2024 Paris Olympics game qualifier, South American record holder, Panama national record holder, Gianna Woodruff. Thank you for being here with me today.
Hello, hello. Thank you. Appreciate that extensive introduction.
I have to get you right. I have to get you right.
Appreciate
So
it.
I'm gonna share a little bit of background about the podcast, and then we'll hop in. But I started this podcast, as I was sharing earlier, because I wanted to create a platform with athletes, specifically those at the high school level, so they can learn directly from professional and Olympic athletes and understand that, they face the same challenges. I wanted to demystify the mental challenges that y'all face so that they understand this is something that they have to continuously work at. And the goal is for coaches, athletes, and parents to turn to the podcast, listen to what everybody's talking about, get inspiration, guidance, and feel a little less alone on their journey. Yeah. So starting off hot, looking back at your career, right? You've had a very extensive career and you're still going. Thinking about from high school to college to the Olympic level, what have been some of the main mental skills that have helped you during your journey?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. It's good to see you again. Knowing you throughout all of these years and then like us being here now is like pretty amazing. But yes, it's definitely been a journey. If you would have asked me in high school if I would have been an elite athlete, let alone a two-time Olympian, I probably would have laughed in everyone's face because me being here is just like I wasn't always like the greatest high school athlete, let alone the greatest collegiate athlete. I just kept my head down and worked hard. And so along the way, it hasn't always been, amazing things. It's been challenging, and I think track and field is 10% physical. We can do everything physically, but it's like that 90% that's like your brain is like, no, you actually cannot do this. Like, why are we do the 400 hurdles. So it's like, it's no way you're going to run a lap and then also have 10 barriers that you have to jump over and progressively get fast after each one. So it's just like coming from high school to now, I think for me, it's been like accepting that like okay, wow, the mental role does play a big role in everything that I do. And so I think just recognizing what that is, because I think I had a hard time when I was in high school, like, oh, you got to talk about your feelings, oh, you have to talk about this. It's always been like a taboo topic. And it is taboo in the African American community, but definitely in the Spanish community too, because we always try to figure out everything by ourselves.
Mhm.
And so I definitely think that making it known that I kind of had like some mental struggles. And then throughout college, it was like, okay, you're in a relationship. And then, like, oh, that can affect different things. And then my athletic career wasn't like kind of what I wanted it to be, but like I still had some juice left. So it was like, okay, what am I going to do differently? So now, and in my big age now, I have a sports psychologist provided through the federation that I run for, and I also have a mental sports coach. So it's like it takes a lot of time for you to actually figure out, but like that would be thing that I wish I would have known to do a little bit sooner, like to utilize, all those people that you have. But now I just do a lot of meditation. I do a lot of like mindfulness. Like that's the main thing, and especially like just writing, journaling everything out, because like I've noticed that like when I keep everything bottled up, it's just like really hard to maneuver, because then you end up like projecting on people, and then you end up just like harboring stuff, and it's like when you want to run free, that means that you have to like write and let things go and even talk to people as well. So it's like for me it's just accepting and being like, okay, we actually need to do some things to get better. And then actually like looking within what those things are, and then like actively seeking help. Cause like, I'm not like LeBron James or anything where people are going to come to you all the time. Sometimes you have to do it yourself, and that's okay. I don't think that that's a bad thing for you to go out actively and seek help.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think first I want to give you your flowers because the longevity that you've had in the sport is real, right? And I think before this, I was saying you're the epitome of hard work and dedication because coming out of college, right, you weren't at the top of collegiate athletics. And watching you continuously day in and day out at the meets, just continue to chase this dream and see you as a two-time Olympian is just like I get so happy, right? And I love that you brought up mindfulness and utilizing sports psychologists and utilizing mental performance coaches because those are all crucial things. What I've seen, especially, which is going back to the mindfulness, is that is almost the key to everything because what it seems like is we can get so lost in our head and that mindfulness just kind of brings us back to the center. That's some of the stuff that I was doing with my high school athletes as well too. And it's cool to hear that that's something that you utilize.
Yeah, no, and actually at the Olympic Village, they had a section, a mindfulness zone. And so our my sports psychologist that I used through the Panama Olympic Committee, she was like, "No, we're going to go here one day." And it was just peaceful, tranquility. It was in the gym area, so it was kind of like upstairs, but it was like as soon as you walk in, you just have to be quiet, and then you could do this like virtual reality where you put on the goggles and then you kind of go through like
Wow.
no, it was really cool because it got one where it was like, it gets you ready for your competition. So it gets,
Hmm.
the crowd going and it kind of
Hmm.
gets your systems going. So it's like, okay, what does it actually feel like when you're about to go on the track? So it kind of gets your brain wired to feel like that. And then there's also another reality where it was like, okay, we're gonna do more of like a calm, relaxing one for after you compete. So it was really good having both of those like extremes because you go through both of those
Yeah.
extremes when you're competing and when you kind of have to like calm down in between your rounds.
Hmm.
And then there was also parts of it where you could like draw, you could write. There were the mindfulness zone was like, and I think because I don't believe that they had that in the previous Olympics. So it must have been a lot of just like athletes and sports psychologists and just people just giving a lot of feedback of what athletes need.
Hmm.
And so I think especially now, I think mental health is kind of becoming is highlighting a little bit more now. So I think that it's good steps in the right direction.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds amazing. It almost sounds like it was a mix of mindfulness and visualization.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Hmm.
really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That takes me into the next question that I was going to ask about mentally preparing. Like, how do you, right? You have the Olympics, you have the Olympic finals. How do you get yourself in that zone and also deal with all of those emotions so you're not burnt out by the time you step up to the line?
Right. I think it's been a lot of like talking to my sports psychologist, and just besides the visualization, because I think that that's obviously great, but it's like sometimes it can be like overwhelming. Have to think all different times. So for me, I just always have little post-its everywhere. I have post-its on my laptop. I have post-its on my mirrors. I even had it in my room when I was at the village, just like whenever I wake up, just small key words for me. Like right now, I have like focus on yourself.
Hmm.
I don't have to do it, I can do it. Like
Hmm.
there is, and it's just all things that like kind of gets me ready, but nothing where like adds so much pressure on me, because I'm still wanting to have fun and I'm still like obviously our goal is like to make it to the final and get a medal. But like in the event that sometimes those things don't happen,
Hmm.
what can you do to like help like bring you back down so like you're still okay in the moment.
Yeah.
So I would say the mental preparedness would just be like me writing post-its and me just continuing to be intentional because that's also one thing that like I'm continuing to work on. And I think it's just always like something like we're always evolving and it's always something that we're just trying to do to get better every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you share a little bit more about the intentionality part?
Yeah, yeah. So I think so. Actually, a tip that one of my sports psychologists gave me, she was telling me that like every like this is kind of like an extreme moment, but I think this is what Michael Phelps did. It was like every time you walk through a door, you tell yourself affirmations. So it's like literally being intentional, and that could either mean like you're just walking to go put something in your closet. That is a door. You're walking through to go to the bathroom. You're leaving. You're coming in. You're getting out of your car. Like it's literally, and when I started doing that, I was because this was she gave me this when I was at the Olympics. So like
Hmm.
this is something that I did within like the first like or my 2 weeks that I was there. So like, and I already I definitely saw the difference in just like me being purposely like as soon as I go through this door, just telling myself anything positive, like,
Mhm.
oh, I guess what was I saying? I'm gonna have a great day. It's something as small as that. Practice is gonna be amazing. I'm gonna have good interactions with my family, because sometimes some of those little small things can like really trigger you in different ways. So it's just literally being intentional and just purposely like going out of my way and thinking of something as small as me walking through a door, but just
Yeah.
literally being like, I'm going to tell myself nothing but positive affirmations, positive things, because what you put out into the universe is what you get back. So we're only
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
do positive things, regardless if I'm at the Olympics or whether I'm waking up trying to have a good day, like
Mhm.
for practice or just, I don't know, anything. I'm always thinking about that now.
Yeah, yeah, that's really cool. And it
Yeah.
sounds too that it is, again, I keep going back to mindfulness, and what you started out saying is, it sounds like that's a way to bring you back through the to the present moment, because so many times in our day we can just get caught up in our mind, like, right, we're driving to practice, we're walking through a door, and it's just an everyday exercise, so we're not thinking about it. But putting that, like, hey, every time I'm going to walk through this door, I'm going to say an affirmation, kind of reminds you to be completely present as you're going through that.
Yeah, no, it's good. But now I'm like every time I go through a door, I'm like thinking that now. And it's not a bad thing, but it's just like something that like when you get in the habit of doing, it just becomes
Hmm.
so natural. And like no wonder Michael Phelps was who he was, because like
Yeah,
dude, every time you walk through a door, you're telling yourself nothing but positive things. Like no wonder why you're one of the most decorated Olympic athletes.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like, but it starts with the smaller things. Like it sounds ridiculous, but like I don't know. I was doing it and I'm like, okay,
I
I
mean, there's
I
that
see.
quote, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So, I
No,
mean,
true. That's
absolutely,
a fact.
absolutely. And one
That
of
is
the
a
things that I
fact.
was going to mention too is it's so easy to be negative and hard on yourself, right? And so these affirmations also serve as a pick me up, because it's you with social media and access to everything, you can see your competitors, you can see what they're doing. You have just, you have to be very intentional about shutting that stuff off. And so
Yeah.
affirmations is one way to deal with that. How do you deal with like external pressures, whether it's from coaches or fans or the media? How do you not allow that to impact your performance?
Yeah, that's a great question, because it could be a challenge, like you were just saying, like all these comparisons that you naturally like, you don't even want to compare yourself to other people, but in track and field, it is me against this other person against the clock, and
Hmm.
you have however many people in your race to do that. So like you can't help but think about that. And so for me, there are periods where I'm off of social media just because, or I'm like, blocking or muting certain things just because
Hmm.
like I don't even want to have to deal with that. Like, yes, and I deal with some of the pressures of Panama. Like I am their top three best athletes that they've ever had. So it's like
Yeah,
right now, it's like, wow, I'm carrying the whole weight of the country, like meeting
that's
different people. And it's
insane.
just like, and it can be overwhelming and even daunting. Like, wow, if I didn't do well, like this last Olympics, I was like, man, I feel like I didn't do that well because I wanted to, better everything that I did from the last Olympics. But like, they were like so happy either way. And I'm
Yeah,
just like,
yeah.
this is and so that in itself was just me giving myself more grace, I think,
Hmm.
and me just taking a lot of deep breaths. Like it sounds kind of like cliche, but like whenever I'm like feeling super overwhelmed, I just like detach, and then
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like writing a lot of things down and just kind of, and I'm praying a lot. I'm a super prayer warrior just because like I know the type of person that I am. I can kind of hold a lot of different things like on my sleeve. Like if family things, like everything kind of has to be aligned
Hmm.
for everything in my life to go like pretty well. So I'm doing a really good job at like, oh, compartmentalizing things, because if one thing doesn't go well, it doesn't mean that life is like, crashing down.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I'm doing a lot of mindfulness. Like I keep talking about mindfulness, but
That's the
like
word for this podcast is
it has
mindfulness.
to be the word for the podcast, because like I swear that is like my best friend.
Yeah, nah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I can't imagine having to being one of the top three athletes for a country and kind of holding that weight on you and having to deal with
Yeah.
an entire country, right? Where there is that fear that if you run bad and you get on Twitter, are you going to get blown up on Twitter, right? And then on top of that, there's the challenge
Yeah.
of I hold myself to this standard regardless of what the country, how the country feels or how other people feel. And so even if I don't do as good as I want to do, am I letting these people down? How are they going to look at me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's just like really like just having a lot of grace with myself. Like
Hmm. Hmm.
I've learned that because like I'm I've always been in this weird space in my life. Like I'm Panamanian, I'm black, and I'm also white. So I felt like I wasn't Spanish enough because I don't
Yeah.
completely speak the language fluently. So like I can speak well enough, I can do interviews, but like they're always like, "Oh, who's this gringa girl? Or why is she always speaking English?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry that I was born in America, you know." And then
Hmm. Hmm.
there are certain spaces where I'm not black enough, you know. I don't look like I'm anything. So everyone's always like, "Where do you fit in?" So I always felt like, you know, I just kind of was trying to find a space for me to fit in. But now I'm like, I don't even care about any of that anymore. So it's really just like I don't know, being comfortable with who I am and knowing
Hmm.
who I am and just relying and trusting that. That's
Yeah,
the best
yeah.
advice that I could give for that.
Yeah, yeah. And I was gonna say, it's like, what would you say helped get you to that mind space of like
Mhm.
just shedding everything and letting it go and focusing on, is this what Gianna wants to do? Okay, we're gonna do it.
Yeah. A lot of tears.
Yeah.
A lot of no, it's real, like, and that's being me being really like vulnerable right now,
Yeah.
you know, but just a lot of tears and me just always wanting to like do so much for other people because that's just like been my nature. I'm like always a giver and always a giver. And then there was a point where like I just was so depleted. I couldn't give anything else to anybody. So it just was like, and in all of my moves, and it really wasn't until like I moved from Los Angeles to Texas, and then now I'm in Arkansas. So it's like with every move, I have like upgraded and become a different person. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
still the same Jonna, like same me, but it's like there are just a lot of things that like I know from over the time with competing and just like my life outside of competing. It's like I'm gonna have to say no, and I'm just gonna have to do what Jonna wants to do. So I'm in Arkansas, regardless of like what everyone else wants me to do, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
everyone has
Hmm.
their opinions on everything
Yeah.
of what you should do all the time. But I'm like, nah, I've had my conversation with God and myself, and
Hmm. Hmm.
that's all I
Hmm.
can do.
Yeah, yeah. And it's nice to have a support system that does provide that love, right? Even though there's going to be a lot of people that have that criticism, it's nice to also probably have people where it's like, yo, if that's what you want to do, we're going to support you. You're chasing this dream. So go
Yeah.
ahead and do that.
No, it is. Support system is definitely like a key thing. Like family is super big for me. And just not even like family, just my friends, my like friends that turn to family, like the
Hmm.
Olympic Committee, like
Hmm.
Nike, like everybody who has played a role with like supporting me to get where I'm at. You know, my high school coach, like
Hmm.
people
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
that. Like I actually brought him to the Olympics with me as well. I did.
Wow.
That's my guy. That's my guy. Like he's the reason. Like he's also a mentor for me, but like he's the reason why I was even there in the first place. So I wanted to be able to do that, so just so I can have extra support. Because I
Hmm.
know my coach
Hmm.
can't always be everywhere at once, you know, because he's with USA, he's with Jamaica, like he has a bunch of different like teams and stuff. So I was like, okay, let me have like one person who I know is like gonna be there. So that's a super side note, but I
Yeah, no,
just
I like that though. I like that. I like that. You kind of touched on this earlier, but I'm gonna ask it. If you could give your high school self one piece of advice on the mental side, what would you say?
ask for help more
Mm.
because I realized that I'm just always I'm like the rebel of my family, so I'm always like trying to do everything by myself. And you know, I guess I'm the middle child, so I'm always definitely like, okay, I have to do everything by myself. So I feel like in that I've always tried to be like overly independent. And definitely when I got to college, I wasn't even utilizing the services that they have in college, which is like a sports psychologist, even like using your academic advisor, like going out and asking for help. So it's not like I was just like super off the Richter scale where I just was like super needing help, but it just was like small things, like just in your day to day, like, oh, what are skills that I can use to kind of help me balance track in my outside life a little bit better? So for me, I would definitely say not being afraid to ask for help. So I feel like that would have like so many things would have gone differently had I just put my pride aside and just been like, okay, what is one thing that I could do to get better, or just to cancel out different things. So yeah, that's what I would
No.
tell my high school self, honestly.
Yeah. Being 16, it's funny. I was working with a couple athletes and they would be struggling inside mentally, and I would have no clue because they look cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
after the race, they tell me, "Oh, I that was so much," and I was like, talk to me, please talk to me, ask for help, tell me you need help. That's what we're here
yeah.
for. So I think that's great advice that a lot of high school athletes could benefit from.
Well, and they probably just don't think they see you as like a perfect example,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
and nothing goes wrong with coach,
Yeah,
and it's and
yeah.
it's and it's so crazy. Like they don't think that you're regular. Like they
You
feel like,
know.
and that's not a bad thing at all. Like they see you as kind of like a superhuman protector,
Hmm.
and like,
Hmm.
but I've also been in your same shoes.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why I'm in this role of
Yep,
coaching and being and
yep,
helping the youth out. So it's like
yep.
I feel you on that, because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was also a high school and middle school coach at Harvard Westlake, and so
Okay.
those kids, they were like, "No, you're doing this." I'm like, "I've been in your shoes, if not worse," So
Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly. And it's like the whole reason we're here is because we were there. And so we want
yeah,
to be able to
yeah,
make it so you don't have to go through the stuff that we went through. So
yeah.
now
That's
you
good. That's
understand.
good.
You understand. So surprise, I do this thing called rapid fire questions where it's
Ah,
five
okay.
questions. You have 30 seconds. Let me put the time on the clock.
Wait, total to answer all questions?
Yeah, they're
Okay,
quick. They're quick. They're
okay.
quick. Let me put
Whew.
the time on the clock.
Just kidding.
All right. And I'll start it after I ask the first question. What is your go-to pregame hype song?
Oh my gosh. Um, I'm losing at this. I don't know. I don't have one.
Do you sing? Do you have something you can sing? Is there you don't have no
I'm like,
pregame?
I just am like blanking right now. Uh,
I'm gonna
okay,
stop the clock.
I
It's
guess.
okay. Take your time.
Can you not start the clock yet? Or you did? Oh
Okay,
my
we'll
gosh,
redo it.
it's
We'll
30
redo it.
seconds
We'll redo
already. I'm failing. Okay, wait. Okay. Um, oh gosh, I can only think of one. I only know the artist. I can't think of the song right now.
it. Okay.
Wow. See, you pick. Why would you do this to
You
me?
know, you know, I'm seeing that this is a tougher question than I expected.
This is a tougher question for me than I expected. I'm actually okay. I have a song.
Okay,
Okay.
let's just go ahead and
Can we
rewind.
can we can we
All right. So I do this thing called rapid fire questions. It's five questions, and you have 30 seconds to answer. And I start the clock after I ask the first question. All right, you
Oh,
ready?
ready?
All right. What is your go-to pregame hype song?
Future solo.
Okay. What is your favorite cheat meal?
Pizza.
What is your favorite off-day hobby?
Hiking.
If you could relive one moment from your career, what would it be?
Mm. Um, high school graduation.
Ooh. What is the best advice you've been given?
Helping out two people.
Perfect. 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 There we go. Yo, thank
Yo, I
you.
failed at that. I
Hey,
promise.
it's okay. It's okay. It's
You
okay. You
picked the
can't be
one thing
great.
that you thought was gonna be easy, and then it was like, actually, it's not.
It's really that first question that I'm seeing that really makes people stumble. Yeah.
That's good though. That's
Yeah.
really good. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that last question, the piece of advice, my high school coach gave me that because he was always like, somebody told him to always help out two people, like even if that's like youth or just like anybody. So, and hence he made like a track club in California. He's just been like so instrumental in all these like kids' lives. So now I'm like, all right, got to help out two people,
Yeah.
and now I'm pretty sure we've all helped out. You've helped out countless people, countries, where the list continues over here. So
Yeah. What's your high school coach's name? Let's shout him out.
Robert King, shout out to
Robert
Robert
King.
King. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Yo, well, thank you, Gianna. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I appreciate this.
Thank you, Andre. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Bye.